Okay. Kind of sort of got the answer.
You're actually required to take your money and insert it into a hooker instead of a parking meter.
One last question, and then we'll do the interview. One last question. Yes, a good one.
What's your day job?
What? What? That's a good question.
Hey!
Really good question. The question
Look
is...
at Gaga!
Is that same woman? Question is, what is our day job? Messing
Around.
monkeys.
In. For.
3.
2.
1.
That's what we do. We fling poo as monkeys.
That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys can go grab a chair and sit anywhere around the...
Over like this side if you want. And, wait, we can sit here? You can. I don't, well, where's the camera?
Where's Ron Modell? Ron Modell, come up.
Oh, yeah.
Ron Modell.
Let's hear it, guys.
All right. That's fine with me. Fine with me. And there you go, Ron. And I'll
Here, I'll stand over here to balance it out a little bit.
y'all stand together and take the wireless mic. Take it there. Good. You need water?
Yep.
Is this on?
Are we up?
Can we turn that up a little bit? Check, check, check. Yes, no, can't turn it up. Good.
Probably your cord.
Maybe. What? This isn't on? Is this on? No.
How about this one?
This is on. There we go. There we are. Is it on? No. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Yes. No. There we go. Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
We have the finest sound equipment. That's right. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen who are here, thank you for being here. And people who have just tuned into the podcast, we just got through with one of the most outstanding shows we've ever had at McCurdy's Comedy Theater. Spontaneous standing ovation. It was amazing, wasn't it?
Thank you.
Well, it was. For the improv, for you, the audience could hardly contain themselves. Ron, you and I met about, is it 4 years ago?
7.
7 years ago.
Yep.
Wow. I forgot 3 years with you.
Easy to do.
It is easy. Ron came up to me here and at the comedy club and said, you know, I'm retired and I've traveled all over the world and I've been an entertainer and I can tell a joke. And would you let me go tell a joke? And you went up on stage shortly after that, and you did a 5-minute set, and you killed. And then you've come in here every year when you're down from Chicago and been a joke teller. And I say that in the greatest because we don't get joke tellers that much. You started doing this as an orchestra leader, correct?
Well, I think from my early youth, my mother in the Bronx, storyteller, we'd stay up when she had her weekly mahjong game at our apartment, and my older brother Sandy and I would stay up and listen to her tell the jokes. And I really got most of it from my mom.
You know, it was the same. My mother used to play canasta,
Yep.
not mahjong. They didn't know what mahjong was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they still don't. We're not quite sure. So your family, but then now when was the first time you did a comedy performance?
Well, it was really here. No, I take it back. That place in Orlando that we were talking, Tim and I and John, about, that place in Orlando, Failsafe or something like that. You know, that studio, that school.
The place where that Full Sail?
Full Sail.
Full Sail,
Yeah.
you went there.
I went there.
So your life was always as a musician and an orchestra leader.
And a professor.
And a professor.
Right.
At?
Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, Illinois, which is where my wife, Kathy, and I live. And I was brought there in 1969. I had been playing principal trumpet in the Dallas Symphony for 9 years. And they asked me to come to Northern Illinois University to not only teach classical trumpet, but to initiate a jazz program, which they had never had on that campus.
Because that was sinful.
It was. There were people that actually still called it the devil's music.
Well, there's people that still call it the devil's music.
but
They're
we don't
here
let-
in Sarasota. Did you know that? They still call that the devil's music.
I think we had a few of them here.
As a matter of fact, I think if we started playing jazz right now, a couple of them would get naked.
I'll do it.
Sounds like bad porno.
Yeah.
So you did that, and then and these were the stories you share with me. Then somewhere along the lines, you ended up touring with Phil Collins.
Yes.
And how did that come about?
Well, Quincy Jones was being honored in 1996 at the Montreux Jazz Festival, which is still the most wonderful, most highly illuminating jazz festival in the world in Switzerland.
Very evil.
And it is.
Very evil in Montreal.
Anyway, they were going to do a 50-year retrospective of Quincy's music because he had written for Michael Jackson, Ella Fitzgerald, for everybody. And the orchestra that they thought they had to back the artists on this particular concert featured Phil Collins, Chaka Khan, Patty Austin, just a whole array of... And at the last moment, 1 month before the performance, they found out they couldn't get that band. They were out touring with Tony Bennett and Phil Collins, as a matter of fact. And it was a great, great honor for me to get an email from the head of the Montreux Jazz Festival saying that Quincy Jones would like to have your band perform a 50-year retrospective of his music. And in that concert, Phil Collins fell in love with my students that a year later...
That doesn't sound right. But go ahead.
Well, Phil Collins called Quincy Jones and said, would you call Ron Modell and ask him if he would put a 20-piece band together, because for 32 years, if you remember, Phil Collins was originally a drummer with a group called Genesis when Peter Gabriel was the vocalist. And Phil Collins, great drummer, had always had a dream to have his own big band, not sing, and do a whole concert of his music rearranged for big band. So all of his vocal hits he sent to Hollywood to 3 of the greatest arrangers. I think it was John Clayton, Sam Nestico, and I can't remember the third one. And so I went through...
Bob Johnson.
Bob, that was the guy. Went through 25 years of students and put together a 20-piece band for him. And it turned out to be a 2-month world tour that was incredible, because I remember one night before we went on stage, one of my students, former students, came up to me and said, look who came to see us. And I really didn't know. It was Earth, Wind, and Fire. They were backstage, along with a group from San Francisco that was great called Tower of Power.
Boy, I thought for sure you were going to say the Village People.
Yeah. No, that's the movie that John made, the horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
But it was that kind. I remember in Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen, which is sort of our Disneyland here, I was sitting on the end of the trumpet section, and 10 minutes before the end of the concert, I looked over, and there was Tony Bennett sketching me. And Tony Bennett and I had worked together in 64 and 65 when Left My Heart in San Francisco came out. And I remember one night Phil Collins coming and knocking on our door in the Rex Theater in Paris and saying to my students and I, a couple of the Rolling Stones are here, they'd like to meet your guys. So it was that kind of tour.
And Tony Bennett was sketching you because you had stolen his car. Is that true? That's right. He's a car thief also. So you now becoming a joke teller.
Okay.
All right. You as an orchestra leader, sometimes got to lighten it up a little bit. Got to tell a joke or two. And you develop that. And you're when you come on stage here, you could tell jokes for an hour.
Yes.
Yes. And as I say, I'll start from. You started doing that. Did you work someone in the Catskills in like the old days when I think you mentioned that? Or you're around the Catskills?
No, but I was a working musician, but in front of me was Joey Bishop, Buddy Hackett, Shecky Green, all the great comics who were learning their trade. And I happened to have a very good memory. And it was just a matter of, remembering these jokes and trying to put together some sort of, like you do, some sort of order. I know that you don't seem to do that every night, but I marvel at your ability every night with a new audience to develop the rapport and the way you can, click with an audience. I've never seen anybody do that. The way
No, I'm just sick. I'm a sick man. But to have. So what you're telling me is Joey Bishop, Shecky Green,
Buddy Hackett.
Dick you
Shore.
stole all their jokes.
No.
You've stolen all of their material.
Although that was the way things were for a long time, as you know.
Yes.
Comics got started by doing somebody else's act.
And you told several jokes tonight. Is there a joke you didn't tell?
Yes.
Is there a joke you didn't tell because you felt like this audience might not accept it?
No, not for that reason.
Is there a joke that you didn't tell because you thought it would piss me off?
Yes.
Can you tell that joke now?
No.
Is there a joke that comes to mind?
Well, the one that I left out this, I'm trying to remember the Jewish joke that I loved. Let me think for a minute.
I got a joke.
Oh, go.
Because the joke I like is that, because you mentioned Jewish, is that there is, I tell it as I am on a cruise and I'm talking to a nice Jewish gentleman, and I say to him, I know there are Jewish, people of Jewish faith all over the world, but are there any Oriental Jews? Are there any Chinese Jews? And he goes, you know, son, I don't even know. And ironically, a waiter comes up and he's Asian. And he goes, may I help you, sir? And I said, sure. Are there any Chinese Jews? He goes, I do not know, sir. I will go and check. He runs off. He comes back. He goes, no, sir, no Chinese Jews. We have orange Jews, grapefruit Jews, and tomatoes.
I would tell you that I've never told you this joke, but
Right.
my dear brother Sandy, who lives in Manhattan, New York, this was always...
You never told me this joke?
No.
I thought you told me every joke.
I didn't.
All right.
This is about a little Jewish man that goes to a kosher restaurant every Friday night religiously for 30 years. And one Friday night he comes in, he sits down, and a Chinese waiter hands him a menu. And he can't believe it. And he looks at the waiter and he looks at the menu and he says, bring me a gehackte Leber, bring me chopped liver. And the Chinese waiter said, the gehackte Leber is nicht gut. He can't believe it, the Chinese waiter. So he looks at the menu and said, bring me gedämmte Fleisch. He said, bring me potted meat. And the Chinese waiter said, nicht gut euchet, not good either. So he looks at the Chinese waiter, he says, Buddhavels, bring me what you want. So the Chinese waiter disappears in the kitchen. This little Jewish guy calls over the owner of that restaurant. He says, Sam, I'm coming to your restaurant for 30 years. Did I ever think I would live to see a Chinese waiter that talks Jewish? He says, shh, he thinks we're teaching him English. Help.
That's right.
Help.
With the old man sitting on the park bench, and he's distraught, and he's crying, and a guy sits down next to him, and he goes, what is wrong? He goes, I have a new wife. She's 23 years old. She's smoking hot. She likes to have sex with me every day. He goes, well, why are you sitting here so distraught? He goes, I can't remember where I live.
Let me is a 65-year-old Jewish man, an 85-year-old, they're discussing their sex life, and the 65-year-old is lamenting that his sex life is over. And the 85-year-old looks at him and says, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm 85 years old, 20 years older than you. I still satisfy my wife 365 days a year, including holidays. And the 65-year-old says, what is your secret? He says, rye bread. He says, what? He says, rye bread. So the 65-year-old runs out to the nearest Jewish bakery, runs in, he hollers at the baker, give me 16 loaves of rye bread. And the baker hollers back, what are you, crazy? It'll get hard. He said, everybody knew except me.
85-year-old man and woman show up at a sex therapist's office. Said, we want you to watch us have sex. Make sure that we're doing everything okay. We want to have sex for many more years after this. And he goes, okay. He watches them have sex. After it's through, what'd you think? He goes, I think you're absolutely healthy. You're perfect. Everything was fine. You should have sex for a long time after this. Everything should be okay. He goes, okay, I need to make an appointment for next week. He goes, no, you're fine. I saw you. He goes, no, I really like a second opinion. So they come in the next week. Same thing happens. Doctor has the same review. Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, okay, I'd like to make an appointment for next week. He goes, you don't need to come here next week. He goes, yes, I would like to make an appointment for next week. He goes, you've been here twice. I told you were fine. Why do you need to come here next week? He goes, I'll tell you why I need to come here next week. She's not my wife. And I'm not her husband. The Holiday Inn costs $75. The Ritz-Carlton is $200. The Four Seasons is $400. You're $50, and I got 20% back of Medicare. One more.
This old Jewish man walks into the Social Security office. He says, I would like to collect Social Security benefits. So the woman says, good, how old are you? He says, I don't know. She said, do you have some form of birth? You show your... Lady, I came to your country 60 years ago. I barely had the shirt on my back. So he looks at his wife, and the woman says, I would like to give you Social Security benefits, but we just can't give anybody that walks in off the street. You have to prove to us some way that you're 65 years or more. So he opens up, he says, look at this. And he bares his chest. He said, do you see the gray hair? Do you see the shriveled up skin? Do I look 65? I look more 75. She looks at him, she says, okay, we'll give you Social Security benefits. And his wife tugs his pen. Dummy, drop your pen, she'll get disability too.
Ron Modell. You may have a seat, Ron, and I am going to bring B.C. Murphy up.
Okay.
And some of the Improv Trip. Where's B.C. and Taylor and Johnny? And come up and have a seat. We'll spend just a few minutes. And I'll take the, I didn't think about this. And Cindy, of course we want Cindy. And there you go. Improvisation that you saw tonight, of course, we started working together a few years ago, and it is. Everything's just happening in the moment. We don't really know what we're going to do, and many times the microphone will not work whatsoever. Yeah, that's okay. We have it. And what I would like to do at this point in time is Cindy. Do we have a microphone there for Cindy? Yeah, we'll pass it over. Cindy, tell us how you got into improvisation.
Well, I have to credit B.C. Murphy for that. He's the... Yeah, I know.
Not the show was bad, don't
I know. No, actually, it was a whim. He had auditions. He was putting together a troupe, and I went and auditioned. He said, okay, you're in.
What kind of auditions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently he would take anyone. And
Yes, he'll take anyone. Look at him.
I know.
He took me.
Yeah, but you're better looking than I am, Tim. I know.
And let me ask you this. Have there been moments on stage where something happened that you felt that really what was happening on stage was kind of pushing the boundaries of your morality?
If I had morality... No, not very often, no.
Not very often?
Very often.
No, not very often.
Well, I'll see you later.
Okay.
Good. And then right back here is my daughter.
Hello.
That's Taylor. Taylor has been doing improv with me since she was...
Pushed out the womb.
Pushed out the womb. She came out and we just started
Did a
working
flip,
right off the
landed.
bat. Right off the bat. And she has a lot of fun with characters. And
It's really the voices that are in my head that the doctor tells me not to let out, but then I let them out here.
Can you switch places with me?
I'm just kidding. I really don't have voices in my head, you guys. It's a comedy show.
And you have your characters you have Bonquiqui.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's Bonquiqui.
And then what's the Oriental lady?
She hang low.
She hang low. And then Paula Dean.
Paula Dine, butter your buns, you know.
And is there another one?
I have a nerd character, Shithid, Shithead, and if you call me shithead, I'll stab you with my protractor. You can find that on YouTube, www.youtube.com/LilPsycho941, LilPhysico 941.
Wow. Wow. How many drugs must you?
Juanita Lolita.
Sí, Juanita Lolita.
That's
Yes.
right. And she is our Latino girl.
I am the
That's right.
Latito. Yes.
But you have a split personality.
I do.
And
Yes.
the other one is,
A hillbilly.
oh, which makes you,
A hillbilly Rican.
because your mother,
My mother is a New York City Puerto Rican, and my father is a West Virginia hillbilly. So I'm a hillbilly Rican.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Like a Lifetime movie gone
All that
bad.
really means is that deep, deep down inside of me, half of me don't like the other half. That's all it is.
and Juanita, you particularly like to work on stage very clean and
do.
tasteful, except for when you're with us. And you allow yourself to get into situations that you wouldn't normally get into, correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
And does that ever make you feel like you should just leave the stage because this is wrong?
All the time.
Are you starting to feel that way right now? Okay.
Yeah, now see, the hillbilly Rican, in me, the Puerto Rican side says, get off the station now. And the hillbilly's like, I'll stay up there a few more minutes. It can't be that bad.
So you go to the redneck to
I do.
justify.
I do, yeah.
Well,
the
pass-
lower the IQ, the funnier it is.
Pass it over to the redneck then.
Which one?
No. That's right there. And this is Tim the dairy farmer, Tim
Hi.
Muppet, and who
What's your
is a dairy farmer, for real. And that is the reason he's here. He is bored shitless, ladies and gentlemen.
My community hours coming here to see you people tonight. Thank you.
Exactly right. He's almost finished up.
Got 3 left.
Yes. And what was it that you did to get those service hours? Can you say?
It involved a midget and a rodeo clown, but we were
Okay.
there. You remember that? We had a good time.
That's right. Modell was there. He was telling jokes the whole time. It was wrong.
A swinger ring.
And you've been doing improvisation for how long?
Not long enough, apparently, Les.
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes, I think.
And that's about it. And you're done with. And you tour as Tim the dairy farmer. Yet when you're up here, almost no dairy jokes. Not during improv.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I was thinking about something else.
Pass it over to Johnny Hobbs.
You can find that at YouTube at Tim Does the Cow, lir.backslash humpthesheep.com. Just Google it.
I picked some mushrooms today, and I was really well for that. So, but
You're going to pass those out after the show.
we will.
Okay.
So let's move it on to Johnny.
Johnny Hobbs.
Right.
And Johnny works with us here at the theater, has toured around the country, came back, refuses to leave. He's with us now.
Never going anywhere.
Never going anywhere.
I was actually hitchhiking tonight. These 2 guys picked me up in a panel van, and they had dog collars on, and I thought, that looks intriguing.
That was a good
So,
night, wasn't it?
yeah,
And
it was
who
a good
believes
night.
the 3 of us could fit in the panel?
Yes, the panel van. Yeah, exactly. That was my audition.
That's right.
And you can see that on YouTube.
Stop panel. Backslash fat ass.
Yeah.
Backslash van with 2 flat tires.
And if you had to choose an improv game that is the most fun, what do you like?
I love the storytelling because it just goes anywhere. And I love the way we did it tonight with the die.
Because you were bumped out.
I was
pretty
bumped
early.
out, yeah. I finished top 3, though, so I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah.
That is good. And B.C. Murphy, who ain't right, is really probably, well, without a doubt, out of this group, and that's the reason you're here, is that when in this group, you're the king.
I'm the healthiest leper in the colony.
Exactly right. He is. And a solid Republican.
Anybody but Gingrich. I swear, I'll pull Santorum before I pull Gingrich. Anybody?
And give us one thing that's happened in an improv that was just kind of blew you away. Something outrageous that, oof.
Probably the most outrageous thing is when I was up in Wisconsin, and I thought I was doing a really good job. And at the time, my teacher, my mentor, Paul Sills.
Yes. Anybody know who Paul Sills is? No for me. Yes.
All right.
Yes. The person.
And he's the gentleman who started Second City with Bernie Sellon many years ago, Story Theater. Anyway. And I thought I was doing brilliant, got to be honest with you. I was in the zone. I was right there. And he gave me a typical Paul Sills critique. It was short, succinct. He threw his hot coffee across the stage at me.
Oh.
That's pretty much...
And that's when you decided...
not to piss off Paul anymore, ever.
Not to piss off Paul Sills and to come to Florida.
That's
right.
That's like the most outrageous thing I remember, is somebody actually flying towards the stage.
That's right. And damn this thing. There we go. And I have much the same story. The first time I was doing sketch comedy, me and Ken out of improv, we finally got hired to go on a regular night at the Comedy Works in Denver, and George McKelvey, who was accomplished in Ace Trucking Company and was on the Carson Show and the whole 9 yards, and we come up and we just thought we'd smoked. We thought we'd killed. And we came up, we said, "How did we do, George?" And he looked at us and he goes, "I don't think you're cut out for comedy."
Nice.
I said, "Thank you very much."
Nice.
And here we are today.
Nice.
We are happy that you came out. We thank you so much for being here. Take care. See you again soon.
Ron Modell, let him hear it.
Ron
please,
Modell.
one more time.
Good night, everybody.
Living history.
All right.